Hi, in this video we will be discussing GMAT Official Guide 2017 edition Quant Problem Solving question number 90. So let's have a look at this question. If you look at this question is made up of 4 to 5 lines. So it's better to solve the question in part by part rather than giving it at a one shot. Because when you solve part by part, you will jot down the information every line. So it makes much more easier to arrive at an answer than doing it at one shot. Sometimes doing it one shot, you might end up reading the question more than 2 times or 3 times. So let's try to solve this question. Again, this question can be solvable using alternative approach, or you can use the mathematical approach to arrive at an answer. Let's read the question. So Tabu owns exactly 140 books, and each book is either a paperback fiction, paperback non-fiction, or hardcover non-fiction. So there are totally 140 books. Let me write this as total. And you have paperback fiction, then you have paperback non-fiction. Let's call this as PF and PNF. And you also have hardcover non-fiction. It's called HNF. So if you owns 20 more paperback non-fictions than hardcover non-fictions, and twice as many paperback fiction as paperback non-fiction books, how many hardcover non-fiction books does Tabu own? Again, if you look at it, the same word has used so many times in the question. This is a typical GMAT question. So they will give you a same repetitive word and again so to make you make your reading little bit more difficult. Okay. So before we start approaching the question, let's see first the mathematical approach, then probably we'll see the alternative approach. But before we do that, it's always better to draw a 2x2 matrix here, because you can see that paperback fiction and hardcover fiction, that is paperback books and hardcover books, cannot be cannot have a single book on the same thing. That is, both are mutually exclusive. You cannot have a single book which is both paperback as well as hardcover. So it's better to draw a 2x2 matrix like this, paperback and hardcover. Okay, let's keep this as rows. Let's draw something for let's name something for columns. So here the columns would be fiction and non-fiction, fiction, non-fiction, and you have total. So question tells you that totally there are 140 books, so we can keep this as 140. And you have also they have also mentioned that each book is either paperback fiction, paperback non-fiction, or hardcover non-fiction. So that there won't be any book which is of hardcover fiction. So we can keep this as 0. This particular box as 0. Now each and every box you add it, you will get the total. So basically these are all plus. So either it could be rows you can add off, or you can add off the columns. Okay. So let's see what is in the second line. If you want 20 more paperback non-fiction books than hardcover non-fiction books, we don't know how many are hardcover non-fiction, which is this box. Let's call this as X. So what the question says is, if this is X, then paperback non-fiction books are plus 20 more than that. So X plus 20. Now the third line says, and twice as many as paperback fiction books as paperback non-fiction books. So paperback fiction books are 2 times of paperback non-fiction books. This is X plus 20, 2 times of X plus 20. If you remove the brackets, you will have 2X plus 40. So basically, if you add these rows, it will give you the total here. If you add these, it will give you a total here. So basically, if you add this, you have 2X plus X, 3X plus 40 plus 20 is 60. So 3X plus 60 here, and your 0 plus X will be X. And you can see that 3x plus 60 plus x should be equal to 40. 3x plus 60 plus x should be equivalent to 140. Now if you solve for it, you have 4x plus 60 is equal to 140. So 60 goes there. So 140 minus 60 would be 80. So 4x is equal to 80. Now you get x as 20. So what's the actual question? Actual question is, how many hardcover non-fiction books does Tabu own? Hardcover non-fiction books is this box particular, which is the value of x, where we get x as 20. So that's all. Answer is B. You no need to further check anything. Answer has to be B20. So if you look at it, creating this matrix gives us a clear picture of what we are finding. So when we can create a matrix like this, whenever you see something which is mutually exclusive, where one is not have anything to do with other, and there is no common between them, you can always create a matrix like this, because this gives us a clear picture of what we are going to find, and it will leads to the steps much more clear. Now let's see what is an alternative way of solving this question. The alternative way of solving this question would be back solving, because we have numbers in the answer choices. So what is the process? We assume the answer choice C as the correct answer, then we work along with the question. There would be some condition in the question. If doesn't matches, we look up and down. So why we pick answer choice C is because answer choices are always in the ascending or the descending order. So let's assume as usual, as per the process, answer as C. Okay, so what it represents how many hardcover non-fiction books Tabu own. So that means hardcover non-fiction books is 30, I'm assuming. Now let's work with the question now. Tabu owns exactly 140 books. Each book is either paperback fiction, paperback non-fiction or hardcover non-fiction. So let's stop here. Let's take a stack of the data now, because once you understood that paperback fiction and paperback non-fiction, they are not going to overlap. That is, there won't be any single book which is both fiction and non-fiction, as well as there won't be a single book which is both paperback as well as hardcover. It's better to draw it 2 cross 2 before moving to the next step, because it helps us to solve the question in a much quicker way. So let's write some 2 cross 2 matrix. Let's call this row as P, that is paperback, and let's call this row as hardcover, because H, let's call it as H because it's hardcover. So let's call the columns as fiction and non-fiction, and the extremes will be always the total, because all these sum up to the total number of books. So here it's like total. So in the question is given that total number of books are 140. Now we have assumed that hardcover non-fiction books are 30. So I'm just going to put in this square as 30. And also we know that there is no book under hardcover fiction. There is no book which is hardcover fiction, because the book has to be either paperback fiction, paperback non-fiction or hardcover non-fiction. Now in the second line, they say if he owns 20 more paperback non-fiction books, 20 more paperback non-fiction books than hardcover non-fiction. So that means this is 30, means this becomes 50. And also they say twice as many paperback fiction books as paperback non-fiction. So if this is 50, paperback fictions are 2 times of it. So that becomes, this is 100. Now here itself, paperback total itself overshoot the total number of books, which is 140. So we can eliminate the answer choice C, because our number is too much more than what is expected. So we can cross off answer choice C. If this is already 30 is already more than the given actual total, then you can eliminate D or E, because again it's going to give you much bigger value than that. So let's try to move on to the answer choice B now. Again, let's quickly draw a 2 cross 2 matrix, say F, NF. So let's draw rows as well as the columns, right? So you have PH hardcover. So you draw a row again, and again a column which is total at the last. Now let's assume total number of hardcover non-fiction books as 20 now. So if this is 20, we already know total number of books are 140. Also we know that hardcover fiction is 0. Okay. Now let's the second line, right? Second line says 20 more paperback non-fiction than hardcover non-fiction. So that means this becomes 20 plus 20, 40. Now twice as many paperback fiction as paperback non-fiction. So fiction is twice than the non-fiction. So that means it becomes 80. So 80 plus 40 will give you 120. And this is 20 again, so 0 plus 20 is again 20. So 120 plus 20, 140. It matches the condition exactly. Even you can check the columns here. This is 80 and this is 120. 80 and 60, which is gives you 80 plus 60 will give you 140. So it matches the total number of books. That's it. You got the answer. You can stop here. You can eliminate answer choice A. Answer has to be B. So drawing a 2 cross 2 will help, because it gives you a clear picture of what we are solving. So all these rows and columns represents the addition here. It's all addition, just going to add up to the total. So I hope this is clear. Thank you.